Sup everyone, this is Elijah from the Freelancer Society, and we have actually reached the conclusion of this season. So this is going to be the season finale. Overall, the objective of this season was to teach everyone about lead generation in terms of people who are one-person business, or really in general, but people who are one-person business will benefit the most, because if you can learn how to generate leads, that's really the foundation of any type of business. If you don't have anyone to talk to or sell to when it comes to your products or services, obviously you're not going to be going anywhere. Now that we've reached the finale, I wanted to do something a little interesting for this show. See, during this season, we established something called the marketing magnifier, and that is essentially a categorization system that you can put lead generation in. So we have online inbound marketing, online outbound marketing, offline inbound marketing, and offline outbound marketing. And each type of lead generation that you do is going to fall in one of those four categories. So I think it'd be pretty cool to take some various good generation strategies from the shows of this season, and we're going to play those clips on this show. But I want y'all to review this in the categorization or in the context of the money magnifier. So these clips are going to be saying exactly which one of those four it fits in, and from there you'll have an idea on what to do with those leads or how to double down to get more leads from that category. Of course, I will say that the overall system of how to cultivate those leads, the sales, and how to maximize the system, that's something that we go into further detail in the Self-Made Business Academy. So if you're interested in joining the Self-Made Business Academy, a link will be provided in the description and also the pinned comment. I'm also going to be playing the setup episode that I did earlier in this season, where I break down how to set up a web page and how to set up your business cards, because those two steps are essential if you're going to be doing any kind of lead generation. If you haven't done those steps, then we shouldn't even be having this conversation. They're prerequisites. The only exception is if you have a website instead of a web page. That can work fine too. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm glad that we've had a very successful season, and I appreciate all the support that y'all have given me throughout this year. You'll hear back from me at the end of the show. So let's go. What's up, everyone? It's Elijah with the Side Hustler Society, and today we're going to be rocking solo because I feel like, based on the direction of the show and a few inquiries that I've gotten, y'all really need to know some of the basics of marketing when it comes to lead generation. And I don't mean stuff that comes out just some standard like business textbook that you like learn on college campus. No disrespect to those guys, but most of them, they have never actually been self-employed for any long duration of time, so they kind of lack any kind of street smarts, if that makes any sense. So I want to talk about that in this show, and some of the stuff we're going to talk about is going to be touched on in later episodes, kind of setting the foundation. But one thing that, when I was talking to Roberto Blake, and he's someone that really actually played a big role in influencing me to start freelancing, because he has a video on YouTube called "Start Freelancing," like if you're broke. But behind the scenes, I asked him, like, what do you feel is the biggest struggle when it comes to freelancers generating leads? And this is assuming that they've already gotten their trade or skill. And I'm using freelancer, lightly. I know freelancer is associated with a creative professional, like a video editor, a graphic designer, a thumbnail designer, like something that's online. But this really can also apply to maybe a lesser degree to those that are self-employed and are more blue collar in their nature. Like they have skills with their hands. They do more physical labor, like electricians or plumbers. This can apply to them too, but just to a lesser extent. But he said they're afraid to do outreach and they prioritize inbound marketing way too much. And I found that kind of interesting because since I had a sales background, I had come from, hey, you get out there and talk to people to get leads to make sales. And some people, they don't have that initial experience with that, so they're hesitant to do that. On top of that, the terms that he used, some people aren't even familiar with that. He said direct outreach. He said inbound marketing. So that caused me to create something which I haven't thought of the name yet. To be honest, when I think of the name, I'll let you know. But essentially, it's a diagram, and I'm gonna be honest. This is gonna be more of a visual show, y'all. So I'm gonna do my best to explain it on audio for you, audio listeners. But if you're on Spotify, if you can get Spotify or YouTube, you would really benefit from checking out this show, in video format. But it's gonna be a diagram that has 4 quadrants, and vertically, that's going to represent inbound, outbound. Horizontally, that's going to represent online and offline. So before we go any further, let's just kind of define those terms. So, like, what does inbound mean in terms of lead generation? Inbound simply means that the leads are coming to you. You're not doing any efforts to generate those leads, or they're coming from effort that you've already done in the past. So a good example of inbound marketing that's pretty popular nowadays is a freelancer may have a YouTube channel set up, right? Talking about the details of their skill or trade and how to do things and how to price or whatever. And someone may email them like, hey, so how much do you charge to do your service? That's an example of a lead that came in using inbound marketing. Now, outbound is the opposite of that. So outbound is when you're going out and initiating contact to get that lead. So if I meet someone at a networking event, say, hey, my name is Elijah, I'm a video editor, and we build all this rapport. And then I prospect them to essentially get them to hire me as a video editor. And we set up an appointment to talk further. Then that's the lead that was generated by outbound marketing. As far as the online and offline, well, I think y'all already know what that means. Online just means that the lead came through online methods, and offline means that the lead came through offline methods. So, ironically, the examples already used also fit online and offline. Online being like the YouTube channel that served as a lead generator in that case, and offline being someone I met at a networking event and forged that relationship, and that resulted in an appointment, then I can go ahead and sell them on my services. So in this show, we're going to focus on inbound offline marketing. Now that doesn't need to sound complicated. We're going to break it down because we already kind of broke down the terms, right? So we're just going to put those terms together and give a definition. So inbound means, as we've already established, that it's going to be a lead that is coming to us. Okay. We're not going out to get them. They're coming to us based on work that we've already done. And offline means that the stuff is going to be happening offline, although it can also benefit you online too, but it's going to be more so offline. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Now, what's the key to getting leads in this form or fashion? This is basically a magic word for referrals, because that's the biggest, easiest source of inbound offline marketing I personally have ever used and ever seen before. So, how do you incentivize referrals? And referrals don't necessarily always have to be someone that's worked for you and that you've worked with in the past. So you have a past client and they give you a referral, that's great. But referrals can also come from people you've met and they know what profession you do. So they pass your information along to someone else. But how do you facilitate that process? Well, the key to doing this is you need to have a website or a web page. And y'all have heard me say that earlier in this season, but we're going to dive into it deeply. I personally say that a web page is more beneficial for freelancers and those who are self-employed that have some kind of service, because a website is more so if you have like more than like 5 services you provide, maybe some products. And at that point, you need different like avenues to talk about different things. A web page will maximize your conversions because there's nothing else for someone to do on that page but the call to action that you set. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through my personal web page for my video editing services, and we're going to break it down. Let's start off by sharing my screen on my personal web page that I use for my video editing services. So when you design a web page, the first thing, you can have someone do this for you, but a web page doesn't necessarily have to be fancy. That's actually one of the pros of going with a web page. It can be nothing but text. Like, let me just scroll down real quick, and you'll see like this is nothing but text. Not like a bunch of pictures on the page. Now, if you want to add that stuff, you're going above and beyond at that point. But a web page can literally just be text, and it will get the job done. So don't feel intimidated that you got to be some like graphic designer or website designer to get a web page started. If you have the text, which if we're going to be honest, you're going to have to make the text for this anyway, because you need to know what's going to be on your web page, then you're good to go. Now, when a web page is made, it needs to have the following on it. It needs to have your service or services on it in terms of like what you do. It needs to have some kind of social proof to kind of prove your credibility. It needs to have a call to action. So when a potential client hits this page, what do you want them to do from here? Do you want them to book something on the page where they click something and they pay for the service? Do you want them to contact you? Usually it's going to be one of those two. Either they're going to pay for the service here, or you want them to contact you so that you can let them know about the services and pick the best one that's for them, etc. It needs to have those three things in that order. Going on from there, it needs to have your portfolio there or testimonials. Either one works. Next, it needs to have your race, what you charge. Now, this part is optional. If part of your selling strategy is to kind of prospect the client in doing the sales process before you talk about the price, and then you bring the price up at the end, you can omit this part. You don't have to put the rates in here. But I will say this web page can also act as a filter too. So people that reach out to you are only reaching out if they know that they can afford you because the prices are here. So that's something to think about. That's actually the tactic that I use here. Next, you need a FAQ section. So any questions that people have asked in the past about your service, just add them to the FAQ section. So someone can read that and just really get their questions answered here. So there's no more like objections to them reaching out to you and getting started with your service. Now that was a brief overview of the web page. We're actually going to go through mine and just break down all of this. So it's named Elijah's Video Editing Webpage. And it says, "Hello, my name is Elijah Bilel. I've been in the content creation space since 2017, and I have over 8 years of experience as a video editor." So I'm basically stating the service that I do. As someone who has had 3 YouTube channels and a podcast, I know what it takes to grab an audience attention and keep them visually engaged as an editor. This is my webpage that is meant to answer any questions that you have about my services and the process of working with me. Now, one thing that I could do, I could actually link all my YouTube channels on here, but I didn't because it's not really necessary based on what's coming up in the web page. But you see within the first paragraph, I've already established some kind of social proof. And if they want to see further, they're going to scroll down the web page and get access to that social proof. Picking back up where we left off, below are some of my recent clients and also some examples of my work. I'm available to answer any follow-up questions you may have too. Got to check something on the mic for those of you out here looking at me on the video. If you would like to work with me, you can contact me at, and I give the number, or by email at elijah@financialanatomy.net. Thank you for considering me for your project, and I look forward to working with you. So let's go ahead and break some of this down. I mentioned the social proof and I also mentioned the service, but the call to action that I want the client to do is to reach out to me, because I'm going to need to know a little more information about what they want, even though I'm going to be directing them in the direction that they probably want to go in. I personally don't want them booking right here because I want to sell them on a higher package. So let's say they're a podcast owner and they want like 5 clips made. Okay. That's good and all. But if I get them on the phone, I could probably sell them on a 1,500 package where I'll edit their podcast and I'll make clips from them and I'll make shorts from them. And I know I could do that if I get them on the phone. And that's why my call to action is for them to reach out to me. But if I didn't want to do that, let's say I was fine with just them just wanting 5 clips done, I would have the call to action being like, hey, you could pay here, press a button, boom, I receive the money. Then they receive the form that fills out like what I need from them in terms of like the link to the podcast and all that, and we can go ahead and get started. One rule of thumb I will say, for things that are more expensive, a call to action is going to be better if you have them reach out to you, because you can implement your sales skills to persuade a transaction. Versus something that's more low ticket, if it's not worth your time to be like talking about this stuff, then it might be better just to have the call to action where they can just book with you directly on the page. I'll leave that up to you at your discretion. So scrolling down, we're going to move on to the portfolio piece. See some of my portfolio and project examples. Now I have this really, really, really simple. That's the point of a web page, is to be as simple and streamlined as possible. Reason being is that if you want people to start referring you, you want to maximize them referring. And the way you do that is you don't want to have them sell you to whoever they're talking to. You want them to be able to send them somewhere. That's why if you have this set up, they'll just send them to your web page, and from there, all their questions can be answered on this page. So it's real easy for them to refer you because this page does all the work for them. All they got to do is say a sentence or two, instead of them having to actually sell you to them, which they might not really want to do, and it might deter them from referring. So some of my portfolio and project examples, we're going to click on it. And in my particular case, since I'm a video editor, y'all probably know there are several styles of video editing. Like editing a podcast clip is different from editing like a video on YouTube for breaking down a credit score, which is different from a commentary YouTuber that's reviewing like a movie and is using like clips from that movie and flashy effects and subtitles and stuff to keep you visually engaged. So each different style of editing that I offer, I have a sample video for, and I have this set up using Google Drive. Now we're going to go through these. So the first one is the video review sample. Hello, my name is Elijah Bilel, and I've been a vegan for over 10 years. In 2016, the Veggie Outers was formed to help more people consume more plant-based foods and get access to education and resources. We've since evolved. Okay, we're not going to watch the whole video, obviously, but I'm just showing y'all because the styles are going to differ as we go through this. So that's an example of a video editing I've done for the video reviews for the Veggie Outers. Gonna back out of this. And next, we're going to go to video and picture compilation sample. Going to click on it.
In 2016, when Elijah was 24, the Veggie Outers was formed as a way to encourage more people to eat a plant-based diet and to help them with the transition process. While the group has morphed into something bigger, there are some things about the group that you may not know, even those of you that have been members for years. Here are 9 things that you likely didn't know about the Veggie Outers. I'm your host, Nikki of the Nikki Connected YouTube channel. Join me as we take a deep dive into these amazing facts about the Veggie Outers. Let's get into it.
Okay, that's an example of videos and pictures being used in a creative way during the video. And some of y'all may actually recognize that voice. And if you're watching on the screen, you recognize her. That's Nikki from Nikki Connected. She actually was on the podcast in season 1, where she broke down the science of how to become an ACX narrator and also just voice acting in general. Great reference to season 1. If that interests you, the link to that will be in the description. Moving on, we're going to go to the podcast clips samples. And we got 2 of them, but I'll pick this one. Okay. I think I have this question too, but a lot of people probably do. What's your craziest story that you have to share when it comes to this rental game?
So I don't use my profile picture. I use just a profile picture of someone else who doesn't look like me. And it's a nice young lady. She's our profile picture, and we've had some rather
nice
strange
marketing.
things. What?
That's nice marketing. I'm sure that's a heck of a lead generator.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't want these leads. So we had one dude, he booked with us. He didn't send us a picture of himself in a Speedo, said my new Speedo. I'm like, bro, what in the world? Bro, I've had some crazy stories, like so many crazy ones now. It's just like, what are you doing? So we had, of course, had to report his profile.
That's showing the an example of a podcast clip that I'll do for clients. And I actually use an example of my own podcast there. Y'all might recognize that little joke from when we talked about how to be successful as an Airbnb host with a Micah artiste. That's going to be linked in the description as well. The person video sample. So this is literally taken from one of my channels, Financial Anatomy, where I talk about a credit score. In my last video about credit cards, I shared the fact that I used to have bad credit, but through a process, I was able to turn it around. Well, y'all seem to really want more about that process, so that's what this video is for. I went from a credit score of 492 all the way to one of 743. And this video will be explaining the process of exactly how I was able to pull that off. Because I'm glad to say that this process is very duplicatable. And if you're suffering from not really having any credit established because you're young, or if you have bad credit, provided that you're sincere in not making the situation worse if you have bad credit, i.e. making sure you pay future debts on time, then this process will help your situation no matter where you are. So let's get into it. Greetings, everyone. This is Elijah from Financial Anatomy. Okay, I'm going to stop saying this because I'm going to sound like a broken record. All the links to the examples, I'm just going to leave in the show notes and the description. Because I know some people are going to be like, hey, what you talked about in that video you showed for like 60 seconds. Hey, I want to know more about it. So if you want to see that credit score video, and now I've rose my credit score, it will be linked in the description. Everything I'm showing here will be in the description. I'm going to stop saying it, okay? I don't want to sound like a broken record. Next, we have a faceless video sample. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another video about Financial Anatomy, where we help you take control of your financial destiny. I'm your host, Elijah, and we're going to be covering how to sign up for the Cash App in this video. So first, you'll want to check with your family and friends to see if anyone has a Cash App, and if they do, ask them to send you their link so that you can sign up under them and maybe get a sign-on bonus once you send them some money and they can send it back to you. If you don't have that situation, you can feel free to use the link that's provided by me in the description and also in the pinned comment. As you can see on the screen, just click the link and it'll take you to the place to where you can begin the sign-up process. Click on Get the App. Okay, so that's showing off essentially what's called a faceless video. Technically it's not, because I still appear on screen. It's a picture of me, but in concept, it's not a video where a person has to be on the video wise, if that makes any sense. And lastly, we have event anniversary sample. What's up, Veggie Outers? It's Elijah here. I'm glad to say that we just got done filming and experiencing our 9-year anniversary for the Veggie Outers. We got to enjoy ourselves, and we got to cover a lot of things that will be coming up in the upcoming year, as well as giving particular shout outs to people who have helped keep the Veggie Outers afloat, whether it be behind the scenes or a little more directly involved. I personally would say that 2024 was actually probably the best year for the Veggie Outers, because we've done things on a bigger scale than we ever had before. This included producing a documentary called The Lord of Veggie Outers that is available for you to view on YouTube. Okay, that's the 9-year anniversary we have for the Veggie Outers. So different from the other like video reviews, because I actually had a videographer filming using a Canon camera, and the quality was just a lot better. And as far as clients go for video editing, this is a great example of if someone has an event, like let's say a wedding, and they have footage they want edited into like a compilation of like clips or videos to store memories, or like some corporate event where they need the video. This is an example of how it would be edited so that they can see what that would be like. So backing out of that, we've gone through all of the samples. We're going to go back to the webpage. And I just want to break down why it was important that I did it that way, because you may have different variations of the service that you do. And that's a good example for me as a video editor, how even though all of that falls under video editing, it has like different niches or styles that would be relevant for the clients to know about. So they can just let me know, like, hey, this sample is the style that I'm looking for, and we can move forward with that. So you want to sit down and look at like what would that look like for you with your service. Now, and I'm gonna say this, blue collar workers might be wondering, how does that apply to me? Because I'm a self-employed, like electrician, HVAC technician, a plumber. I'm going to say this, portfolio wise, blue collar workers, it doesn't matter as much. It's more so about convenient, how fast you can get a job done, and do you have at least a little experience. Like, one thing that can help blue collar workers out is actually reviews. And that would fall under the testimonials. Because remember when I was going through like what a web page needs, it needs to have portfolios / testimonials. So you could get some screenshots of like, let's say Google reviews, and put them on here. And that could serve as your social proof. But I will say this, it's a little extra work for our blue collar brothers and sisters, but if they're willing to do it, you're going to stand out from the crowd massively. If you do the same thing as like what the freelancers do, like what I just did with this portfolio, and you could use Google Drive, you're going to stand out a lot, and you're going to get referred a lot more, because no one's going to go through all that trouble. What you would need to do is you probably need to have someone film you doing some work of doing some work that you're doing for your clients. And when you do a new service, this kind of goes into something we might get into next season, which is content creation, and how you can use content creation to really make money with your freelance business, or your just your business in general. But just staying on topic, if you get that footage and then you kind of categorize it the same way I do with the portfolio, in addition to having some testimonials or screenshots or reviews here, you might have too much business. You might have to start turning away business, or it's kind of going ahead of the game. But if you have some contacts that offer the same services, set up a referral program with them. And if you're too busy to handle a client, you send that client to them and you can get paid for it. But that's a little nugget for maybe a future show we'll get into. But y'all see the point with the portfolio and project examples. Next, I have links to my previous clients. So companies that are very public, if you worked with them in the past, you want to be able to reference them in this section. So in that case, you put their websites. But for my case, it's actually better to put their YouTube channels, since all of them are on YouTube. So I've worked for the rideshare guy. Y'all probably know that. I say worked and I say previous clients, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be previous. It could also be current clients, because I still do work for the rideshare guy. Okay, I'm gonna mute it, because I don't necessarily want to get like a copyright strike from from YouTube. Even though Harry wouldn't care, and he probably just remove it. But why even bother going through all that? But yeah, y'all see the podcast here and the back out of that. And I'm not going to go through all these because it's not that relevant. I mean, the webpage will be linked in the description. So if you want to go through all of them, feel free. The important thing is this just shows, a further way of reimbursing your social proof. Because if someone's really curious, they could reach out to these companies and ask, hey, did he or she work for you? And they're going to say yes, and vouch for you. So that's great. Next, we have the rates. Like I covered in the video, like I covered it at the beginning of the video, this part is optional. It really depends on what purpose you want the web page to serve. So this web page, in some ways, for me, is also a filter, because my prices, not everyone can afford me. Like, y'all probably know that YouTube and podcast creation and content creation in general, you can do a lot of powerful things with it, but it's also the ultimate domain of what I like to call the wannabepreneur. So people may be talking to you and it sounds all great and they're going to start their podcast, and maybe they do start their podcast, but it's not making any money yet. So we shouldn't really even be having a conversation about me editing your videos yet. And what I could do, instead of having to, turn them down rudely or come off as cocky, I could just send them this webpage like, hey, yeah, I would love to work with you. Here's my webpage, and when you want to move forward, contact me. Then they see this, and maybe they'll contact me like a year and a half from now when they do start making money, or it'll kind of deter them from wasting both our time. So I'm going to read here. My current rates for the editing of video projects are below. Editing for a podcast episode is $50 per hour of footage. Making a clip between 2 to 20 minutes from a podcast or live stream is $35 per clip. Package deals are available if a number of clips are purchased in bulk. So you're probably noticing that I am giving the rates, but I'm leaving room for me to upsell them if I get them on the phone. Because what I said is up to interpretation, and that can be talked about further. So I could discount a certain amount per clips if they buy like a whole bunch of them. Contact me for more details on these package clips. Making a clip from a video, show, podcast, or live stream that is under 2 minutes in a vertical format. This will be approached as if the clip will be used as a YouTube short, Instagram/Facebook reel, or TikTok. Generally, the rate is $25 per clip and is only included as part of a package deal. For details, please contact me. For non-podcast videos, it's $50 per video for videos that will be 20 minutes or shorter post-video editing. For editing on videos that will be longer than 20 minutes, it is a flat rate of $50 plus a per minute rate of $2.50 of edited footage after the 20-minute mark. Now, this part is very important because people start to get lost in their head when you mention a lot of numbers. So if you end up having to do that for your service, you do need to give an example or two so that they can kind of root it in something. Like, some people learn through examples, so just go ahead and give one. For example, the cost of editing a video that ends up being 26 minutes long would be $65. The base rate being $50 for the first 20 minutes, and the per minute rate for the footage after the 20 minutes mark being $15 for the additional 6 minutes. So as you can tell, my rates are pretty straightforward, but there is some room for upselling if I get them on the phone. It's up to you if you want to include your rates in the mix or not. I do, because I do like the aspect of my webpage serving as a filter too. But like I said, it's up to you. And if you do include your rates, I would just lay it all out on the table, unless you want to lay some of it out on the table, but you're willing to give like a discount if they have you on retainer for a longer time or they make a bulk purchase. I think that's a great sales tactic. That's why I am personally setting it up that way. Next, we have the FAQ section. Now, one thing I'll say about this section, you don't have to wait for you to get a question to add it. In fact, you could actually Google what are the most frequently asked questions of your service, like FAQs for hiring a video editor, FAQs for hiring a freelance accountant, FAQs for hiring a bookkeeper, and then you can see all the frequently asked questions people tend to ask. Then you can answer them for your own business or service and then add them to this webpage. So that's an option too. You don't have to just wait for you to get a question and then add it. What should I expect once we start working together? That's a very important one. When a purchase is made, you will be sent a form that will need to be filled out that includes a folder where you can upload the video footage and or pictures that you need edited and or clipped. In this form, you will be asked to select which style of video editing you would like your project to be like from my portfolio examples linked above. For example, if you want your footage to be edited like the podcast clip sample, the editing style for your project would be similar to that video. If you want it to be like the video review sample, the project would have that style. If you have a particular video that you're looking to emulate, but with your footage, you can send me a link to that video in this part of the form also. I'm letting them know what's going to be the process once they spend their hard-earned money with me. Because there's always that doubt in the person's mind, like when they purchase it, like what's going to happen? Are they going to get in contact with me? Like, oh, what's going to happen? Are they going to run off with my money? Like, and you're answering the question for them. Hey, this is what's going to happen. Once you spend your money, you fill out this form. I have the information to get started. Boom. So regardless of what you include in your FAQ, I really would include that probably as your first question, if I'm going to be honest. Scrolling down, next question. What is the next step if I'm interested in using your services? This is what would be the call to action. The next step would be to email me at elijah@financialanatomy.net or give me a call. From there, I will ask what you are ultimately looking to achieve with your channel, show, podcast, or live streaming in general. Depending on what your goal is, I'll make a recommendation on what package or content type, your podcast clips, shorts, etc., would be best to help you achieve your goal. From there, a package will be put together based on your needs. This is one, if you do talk about your rates, I would include it, like it would be mandatory to include. If you don't, I still would include it, to be honest. Do I have to pay first before you start working on a project? Now, before I actually answer the question, while I read the answer that I put, I'll say this. You don't ever want to just do work. Well, blue collar workers, it might be a little different, but that's because they're in person. But even with blue collar workers, you still might not want to do this. Don't ever do the work and then get paid afterwards. You want to either get paid first or get paid half and then half upon completion, because you'll find that you don't want to have to start a separate service among your services called debt collection or just income collection. Where you've done the work and then, you got to hunt down clients to get paid. And, that's not really fun. Who wants to do that? So if you can just get the money up front, or at the very least, half now, half later, which is a very reasonable request, set that up. I'm going to go ahead and read here. The short answer to this is yes. And I'm going to give some reasons on why I have this set up. Sometimes the project will require me to invest in certain things to fulfill your needs as a client. For example, additional video footage may be required in order to move forward with the project. I would then need to get additional footage from royalty-free sites, or shoot the footage myself. This can cost money, which would be taken out of the fees that are paid to me by the client for the project. If I haven't received payment, though, I wouldn't be able to move forward with the project. For these reasons, it's more streamlined and faster for you as a client if I receive payment up front. Alternatively, I'm open to doing a trial run instead of you purchasing, let's say, 10 clips for your podcast. You buy 3 clips at $105. The same can apply for editing videos. This will allow you to see the results you will get while limiting your initial investment. From there, we can move on to bigger projects if you so desire. I'm also open for a first project to receive half the money up front for a bigger project and the other half upon completion for projects that are over $1,500. Contact me for more details on this option if this is desired. And that concludes my FAQ section. I personally haven't really found the need to include any other frequently asked questions because my closing rate has been pretty good, and referrals have been coming in very nicely. Actually, I just had one come in this morning where one of my clients asked me, was I actually looking for other clients? I told her, yes, I am. And then she asked me what was the best way to get in contact with me. And I told her, I gave her the number and the email she could send people, but I also sent her this webpage. I just sent her the webpage, and the webpage will serve its purpose, right? Yeah, so that concludes like the demonstration I'm showing for the webpage. And like I said, this is the ultimate source of inbound offline marketing and even inbound online marketing, because that webpage can be working in the background, getting you leads without you having to do much, but once you have it set up. The next thing I want to cover is like, how do you set up a web page? Like, what software do you use? Now, I just made a web page using the software I use for the Side Hustler Society site, which is Kajabi. That'll be linked in the description. But that's a website provider. It provides like a lot of stuff. So you might not want to go with that because all you need is a web page. So let me share my screen again. And honestly, for a little while, I actually, before this show, I played around with, okay, I'm changing the format of the screen. I played around with Google Docs because Google Docs is actually very nice. And it really, everything I showed y'all on my webpage is possible to do with Google Docs, but there's some kind of glitch where when someone clicks on a link, there's this message that pops up basically saying why it won't take them to the desired place the link's supposed to go. And that's not going to work because you want to be able to link to certain things in your web page. So unfortunately, I can't recommend Google Docs right now unless they fix it after I've done this show. If they have, I'll put that in the description and that'll be awesome. But right now, Google Docs is a no-go. So I've looked up some Google Docs alternatives, and we're gonna go through some of them. So scroll down. This is document360.com. And it's a blog about Google Docs alternatives. This will also be linked in the show notes. But they mentioned it. Well, obviously they're gonna mention themselves. Doc 360. So that's an option. I'm not gonna read the whole article. It'll be linked. Nucleo, Nucilino. I think that's how you pronounce it. Microsoft 365, Zoho WorkDrive, Evernote, Whip, and Coda. Those are some Google Docs competitors, and they allow you to link, which is pretty critical on a web page because when you talk about something, you want to show something, you want to be able to link back to the website or the video, etc. So that's kind of a decent tie-in into this. What would you say is your biggest source of like online leads, and how did you come to find this out? Like you did mention that social media is definitely one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that that's the biggest source of leads that you receive online? It's usually social media.
Yes, yes, that is true. As far as online, because
Yeah,
like I said, I usually
strictly online right now. Yeah,
strictly online. Yes, yes, I would say social media different because there's a lot of different platforms, even Reddit, Facebook, and there's this other one, Fiverr. I don't know if that's considered social media, but I use
uh,
that as well, and
it's, it's it's not. It'll be considered a freelancing platform.
that's true. That's true. So social media and freelancing platforms. But currently, I would say my social media is my primary source of leads.
I've heard some pretty bad stories about Fiverr. Kind of know as the anti-Fiverr person, to be honest, at least as a freelancer. So, how's your experience been? Now, you said it's like a small portion. I'm glad to hear that more of your leads are coming from social media right now. But
Mhm.
what's been your experience as a freelancer working with Fiverr?
Excuse me. On Fiverr, a lot of the work is cut and done. Not to my liking though. I would like it to be more on like a personal kind of connection. Not personal, but more personal compared to just like, okay, I sent you the money, I sent you the files, mix it. I like to discuss what is actually the vision is that you would have in mind. Because if you just give it to me and I do my thing, yeah, we all might like it, but is that what you want? Is that the vision that you have for your song when you created this song? You know what I'm saying? I like to match the intentions and the concept with the artist's intentions and the concept. And then
Right, and that's not possible on Fiverr.
um
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's what I really classify as a collaboration. And replying to your question, I don't find it as often on Fiverr. It's usually just people just looking for, you know, that just that. Mhm.
Okay. Plus, I know with Fiverr, like if you're trying to take that relationship off the platform, they'll threaten to kick you off. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of swinging. Actually, this is a yeah. I guess we'll go to the opposite extreme, and I'd ask you, what's your biggest source of offline leads, and how did you come to find that out? So not online, but offline.
A biggest source of offline leads, probably. I couldn't really say. It's just majority just out and about, like being out and about, meeting people. Um, it could be from a corporate seminar to um, a strip street, with bars and clubs, and I might run into an artist and then give him my elevator pitch, and then strike a deal or at least strike a lead that I can later on follow up with a cover letter. Just kind of reinforcing what it is that I do and the professionalism and quality that I bring to the table, or that I feel like I can offer, as well as the studio here, because it's not only a private studio, but it's also a school.
Oh,
And so, meeting people here, meeting people, different artists, meeting different engineers, or excuse me, different producers, different engineers to collaborate with, and just overall build my portfolio and catalog. So then for my discography, I then have all these collaborations, all these projects, what I'm saying, to review and just overall like listen to, when considering collaboration.
hmm
As well as the Dallas location is also a school as well, so that is a bigger um
and when you
bigger
say school, you're saying like college, just so everyone knows. Yeah.
Mhm. College. Excuse me. It's pretty much a bigger fish tank to source not even only artists, engineer, producers, or bands, but also like media people come through, videographers. That's how I'm able to connect with videographers
hmm
at the moment. Photographers, of course, editors, visual effects editors, stage hands. Oh, also there's this one gig that I like to work out of. It's called Generations AV, where I'm a stagehand, and
Okay.
basically going into different venues and setting up stages in the daytime and at nighttime. It's a either or thing, but at nighttime I could also tear down the stage. And I'm working with a group of like 100 to 150 people, where I can network within that group, to generate uh,
Generate.
communication. Yeah, to generate communication and leads, and just find out about more of the people that's around me locally, but I haven't met yet. You know what I'm saying? So just
Right. But y'all are in, I like to call parallel industries where like there are several people that need an end result that will hire you and then this person and this person and this person. But y'all aren't competitors, but y'all are still gonna always be in the same room.
yes,
So with that being the case, okay, well how about we actually talk to each other and there's several people like our client. So if I meet someone else and I'm gonna be doing services for, I'll recommend this service to them and you're the conduit for that and vice versa. So it's kind of
right.
like a networking group, maybe not officially a networking group, but that's the concept.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like a photographer is going to be in the same room as a sound engineer like yourself, and they're going to be in the same room as a videographer, and a lot of things
mhm.
can naturally take place provided you're willing to open your mouth, network, and also give and receive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's you didn't bring it up, but I imagine Vid Summit was a good source of offline leads. Am I right?
Oh yes, Vid Summit was a great source of offline leads. I met a lot of cool people, not only as collaborating on projects, but also just cool people in general. There's a lot of different people, with a specific niche or a general passion that I was able to connect with, parallel, so to speak,
Right.
in their endeavors and what they're trying to do. Hmm.
Right. Kind of going off for a little. What did you think about that panel that we were able to do a few weeks ago?
I love the panel, man. It felt good. It was a good recap of Vid Summit. And I saw some familiar faces that I was able to reconnect with. Um, and the questions were good, and the content was good. The energy was good with G Wiz and Kelly, and I want to say her name wrong. Was it Ela?
Uh,
Yella?
Yuli.
Yuli, excuse me. I
Yeah.
apologize, Yuli, if you're listening right now. But yes, those are all cool people to meet, and parallel things to see, different passions from different people, different perspectives on the whole Vid Summit. Because I know my perspective was just my perspective, but hearing people's different perspectives was definitely interesting.
You think of that after party when you said that, the way you were smiling, like I
Oh
think.
man, no, I really want to forget about the after party. If possible, I could just erase that it even existed because it wasn't anything too appealing.
Okay. For everyone, there's going to be a link to what we're talking about in the description. It was actually the last podcast of season 1. So yeah, if you're a content creator interested in taking your, I'll just say content creation to the next level, this something is definitely something that you'll definitely want to attend, go to. If anything, strictly for the networking, because it's a powerful networking tool.
Yes.
Kind of moving on from there, we can go ahead and slide into the follow-up portion of the podcast. So I would ask you, in your opinion, like why is follow-up so important, like in the sales process? Because it's essentially addressing people who just try and sell someone once and they say no or they don't get a response, and then they just move on to the next person. Why is follow-up just so important in the sales process?
Yeah, follow-up is very important because, as we were talking about before, maybe that person clicked on your ad, submitted information, and the timing wasn't right. I was just talking to a gentleman that, it was a Monday. He reached out to me, and on Thursday lost his job. So, his priority wasn't maybe to speak with me, but to figure out, okay, well, what are my next steps? How much money do we have in the bank? Like it really hit that person really hard. So, there's always the value is definitely in the follow-up in that. Someone may not call you back. Maybe it was timing, or maybe they felt like they weren't a good fit, which is also okay. So part of the follow-up, and I think the value is to bring value to the table. So in our case, a lot of people will for example, rule themselves out of franchising because they're like, I don't have $1 million to invest, and I don't have, I'm not interested in owning anything in fast food, and that's okay. And that's a preconceived notion in franchising. It's not all fast food, but that's what people think of. They think of McDonald's, they think of Chick-fil-A. So part of that follow-up is, hey, I know we haven't spoken yet, but did you know that there are 4,000 franchise companies that, happen to be in 70 plus industries? Majority don't fall in fast food. So it's that educational piece where I've received numerous calls back saying, I didn't realize there are franchises under 100,000. I didn't realize that you don't have to be in food. So I think that education piece is crucial. And, not everyone will call you back saying the timing isn't right. They may ignore you. So for me, where I've had the most success is a monthly newsletter. I drop a monthly newsletter. I used to do it weekly. I felt like that was maybe too much, and it'll vary and you'll get different feedback. And I don't know, there's no exact answer, but franchising is not everyone's fit to own a business, and you need some substantial capital to get started. So I do a monthly newsletter. It's these are our last shows. These are some things to think about, and this is a franchise spotlight of the month. And I think that alone, where I'll put in there saying, hey, if you want to have a chat or just have a question, give us a call. If you can think of one person that could benefit, if you can forward that email to someone else, and that helps to expand the reach a little bit. So if all 1,000 emails did that, you would have another 1,000 people potentially in your database. So, staying top of mind. And you know what? Sometimes your emails get flagged to spam and junk. Sometimes they missed it because it was buried with all the other stuff. So, it's kind of like, you're constantly following up, and eventually, whether it be phone call, I do phone call, I do email, I have an AI caller just on that initial call, and I've implemented just direct mail. You know, who gets a postcard anymore in the mail? I get about easily 200 emails a day, but how many letters do I get aside from, you know, bills and junk? It's rare that I get a postcard or anything. So that's the first thing I open. So postcards have been, you know, something I've added recently, and I've had some good success with people at least acknowledging that they received it.
Okay. So it sounds like you kind of use content creation to serve as the conduit to keep following up in an organic way. Would it be safe to say that?
100%. No one wants to hear I'm following up, I'm checking in. I mean, how many times have you heard that? Checking in on what? You know, so it's really, you know, when I do make a call, do you have any feedback from our last call? In many cases, no. Call went well. I haven't heard back. Been busy with work. Well, okay, not a problem. Is this still a priority? And if it is, you know, you had really had concerns about funding, and I know you're limited on time. I created a podcast specifically on funding with the CDO of Benetrends. Can I send that to you? And it's 30 minutes uninterrupted, and you can listen in and hear directly from the source. And people value that. You know, they listen to it at time that works for them, and maybe that's after hours. They may have a family. You know, kids are going to sleep, and they can listen to that call at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and then maybe call you, you know, later on in the week saying, I now have a better understanding, would like to schedule a call. So content creation, I think, it could be lead gen, lead nurture, and just, you know, staying, you know, following up and staying top of mind. I think it's a great excuse to get in front of people.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like you said, like no one really cares about the hey, I'm calling the follow up kind of like rhetoric. Like even in my early days, I never really used that approach. Now I would still call to follow up, but I wouldn't be robotic like that. Usually I talk to the person enough to find some common ground. Kind of like right before the show, we found out that we both used to be, you know, involved in gaming.
Right.
So like if I was prospecting you, like let's say 10 years ago, and I'm trying to sell you something, when I would call to follow up, I would normally start the call with, hey, you know, I'm actually playing this game, and you know, it's such and such, and it's actually real good, or it's real crap or something. And I would ask what you've been playing lately, and you would tell me, and we have a little, you know, banter. Then I'd bring up maybe the sell stuff later in the conversation, but not just this generic, like, hey, so I'm calling to follow up. Are you still interested? Like, that's when people start ignoring you.
Right. Because you're not bringing anything, you know, either they weren't ready or they're kind of on the fence. So in their mind, they're like, you know, I'll reach out to Elijah when I'm ready. Whereas if I can bring an idea to the table, maybe you don't have the 5 minutes to discuss it now, but if I can send that to you via a more convenient way, a convenient vehicle, which is a podcast, a blog, anything, a one-page checklist or cheat sheet, people appreciate that. And it's, you know, on top of it, I'll mail them a copy of my book. That stays top of mind. That may sit on a desk or nightstand, you know, for many years to come. I've had books on my nightstand for many years that I, you know, on occasion will read a chapter here and there. So it just stays top of mind. It's a constant reminder. But you know, if they haven't called you back, either they're not interested or they're stuck somewhere, and sometimes they don't know how to essentially communicate that, right? That there's this nagging concern that they can't really describe or kind of bring up on a call. So in our space, it's the risk of losing your investment. It's the risk of the unknown. So I did a show saying, you know what, these are the top 15 concerns I get on a daily basis. I created it just for you in our last call. Listen in. And if you are interested in having a second call, let me know. If not, no worries. Thought this would help. And addressing the concerns like, what's the risk? What's the you know, what kind of expectations can I make financially and things like that. And although we can't get into specific numbers, it's a business. I think addressing them and not sugarcoating, being very direct, like this is a franchise, you can lose money. This is a franchise, you can expand. You know, these are certain, you know, expectations. I think that's super helpful. And I wish that was the info that I received when I was first looking at companies.
Mm-hmm. Right. So speaking of which, do you have like some kind of system in place to track where a person is in the sales process, or is it
Yeah.
more? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, or are you kind of letting your content do most of the heavy lifting, and then from that point, they kind of treat it like inbound marketing to a certain degree, like, hey, they're gonna reach out once they've received enough content, they proceed to be efficient enough to go ahead and get started.
Yeah. So the podcast I'm putting out there once a week, and that monthly newsletter will grab all 4 podcasts. We'll have, as I mentioned, some tips and some things to kind of a brand to maybe consider. Again, that may not be a good fit, but it's our spotlight. So that's going out to everyone in our system until they opt out. For new leads, they will get our a free copy of our book digitally. And the email cadence and follow up is a little heavier. It may be 2 to 3 times a week. So we use Go High Level. So 2 to 3 times a week via email and text. And then that second week, it drops off to maybe once or twice a week. And then it goes to weekly. And there's a series. There's, I believe, a 10 email series. And then from there, and that's constantly being updated. And then we'll, after that, they go into kind of this monthly newsletter bucket where they'll get that newsletter every month. So a little heavier on the upfront, especially getting them that information, because they may have these preconceived notions that, I don't have, I only have, $10,000 in savings, but they may not realize their old traditional IRA that has a few $100K tucked away is something they can use. So it's more educational. So we'll provide that information. The big one is what do I charge? Because some people love the service, but they're scared to even ask what we charge. And the great part is we don't charge anything. It's our fee is paid from the franchise company, like a realtor. So providing that, the top kind of 5 concerns that come up, we like to kind of just send those out via email, and then remind, hey, if you want additional resources, we have a couple hundred podcasts recorded. You can type in a topic and search the website. So constant that value add, but we kind of taper off after the first 3 or so weeks to that to that monthly newsletter. So is it the perfect follow up? Not certain. If people are really, I kind of follow Alex Hormozy, and we talk about, I have nothing to sell. We educate on franchising. We put you in front of franchise companies, but if the fit's not there, it's not there. We're not here to push you into something, sell you a product or service. This is the value we bring to the table. I've been in your shoes. I've owned franchises and non-franchise, and this is how we can help. So we wait for that person to raise their hand, kind of meet them where they're at. And some people are at different stages, and we'll meet them. Hey, I can only talk once every other week. No problem. What questions do you have? So.
That's actually pretty interesting. You brought up AI in the discussion. So I'm going to share something. I'm going to share my screen. I'm thinking of this right on the cusp, but I think it'll be a great teachable moment, to be honest. I'm just going to Google something just random. And what is inbound marketing? And I have my browser arranged so it goes to the web, but we're going to go to all. And this is what he's talking about. You see how the first thing that pops up?
Yes, AI overviews.
Yeah, which to be honest, a lot of people feel a certain way about that, because a person could get the answer without going to your site.
Correct.
But you're saying that the way around this is to really put some intentionality in terms of the content you're making. Because this is just one piece of a content in, let's say, a playlist on YouTube. Obviously, they need the whole package, so they're more likely to go through your playlist and absorb it all. Same goes for audio, and same goes for any kind of written content. It needs to have that framework of being part of something greater. Would you say that?
Yes, I really like the way you pretty much summed up the topical cluster thing into playlist, because that's what the audience might just relate to more, rather than topical cluster, which might be a new word for your audience. So the thing that you just popped up your screen, AI overviews, isn't something which I think is killing SEO, because even before AI overviews and search GPT, we had featured snippets, again an invention of Google. Its basic task was to extract out information from your FAQ section or certain pieces and parts of your blog post and show up on your Google search results, right? And that was possible when the author of the blog post or article would put up the schema markup code in it. So it Google hasn't actually invented something new. Rather, I would say that it has just rebranded its featured snippet section into AI overviews. Because at the end of the day, AI doesn't have its own brain or knowledge. It's using semantic knowledge. And what does semantic knowledge mean? It means that it needs some source material to have the knowledge and then run some permutations and combinations on it and present in a way, structurized way that answers your search intent, right? So when I ask the same question on chat GPT, maybe let's just say what is inbound leads, that's what you typed on Google right now, is that correct?
What is inbound marketing?
Right. So before AI was there, when I used to search that search term on Google, and if you were to search that same search term on Google, we pretty much saw the same results on Google. But now with AI, there isn't 100% chances that you will see the same response generated from AI, right? AI will pretty much frame it in a way that better understands me, you. It analyzes our persona, right? When we sign up on these accounts, they take up our knowledge, who you are, what's your age, where are you based from. They take up some knowledge from you. That they are doing this because they want to present the answer in a way that will help you process that information much more faster, right? So even though the core concept in that answer, the AI generated response would be pretty much the same, the topic, the answer to that question wouldn't change, but the framing of the answer is what AI is changing every time someone else asks that question. So AI again is taking the same source material from these different blog posts or articles who are actually ranking, right? So the first thing, if you want your site content to be showed up on those AI overviews or the search results, the search GPT, you will have to actually start ranking for those particular keywords. And even when it starts showing an extract piece from that entire blog post and it will prevent people from clicking on your site, it's just for those informational intent searches, right? Not for something which is comparison based. And even when you are seeing those information related searches, you do have the citation. Just like in Wikipedia, we have blue highlight with the link icon. You can just click and it will open up the entire source where it cited the information from, right? Because Google can't just claim that knowledge to be generated by its own. It has to cite the original source. So it does pull up the information on the right hand side that okay, this is where we put up the source material, and that's why we are presenting you the answer. The search query that you just entered was pretty generic and it was very informational driven. There are four types of search intents for those people who have no idea about. The first one is informational driven, where you are just trying to get answer to your question. You're not ready to, or you haven't even thought about buying anything as of yet. You're just trying to collect information. Then we have navigational, where if I'm looking for Walmart stores near me, I would search for this particular kind of a keyword. So that's navigational. That would pull up my maps and help me reach my destination. So that's navigational intent based search. Then we have commercial search based intent. That's when I am actually confused as to should I buy a product from Amazon or should I buy a product from Best Buy. So that's comparison that's happening. Although I am going to purchase, but I'm not quite sure from where exactly I'm going to purchase. So that's my commercial driven search intent. And then finally we have transactional, where I have decided that okay, I'm going to buy this product from this particular site. So when we talk about AI extracting out the information and people feeling that okay, there's no point in running SEO campaigns anymore because people are not going to click on our site, it's only for those informational driven search intents, not for commercial and transactional. Because when they want to purchase, they will have to click on your site, complete the checkout process, and then get the service or the product that they are looking for, right? And even when the products would show up, It will have actually the pricing, the product, images, and if they want to explore more, they would click on the actual site. Even when the AI overviews didn't come, there was the Google shopping tab, right? It would pull up all the e-commerce products. So this isn't something which prevents people from clicking. In fact, it encourages people to click more and explore about the product, read the description, check out more images, because those single tabs, the small tabs, doesn't have all the space required to fit in all the images, all the videos, all the product description, the pricing, the return day policy, the delivery, checking whether it's gonna charge you any delivery fee or not. You have to actually jump on the site to see this in depth, right? So that's what it's helping us to do, rather than not hindering our SEO performance in any way, I would say.
Hmm. I like the way you broke it down. It's essentially when you broke down the searches, that's also breaking down the different stages of essentially the
SEO funnel.
customer. Yeah. And one thing that you can take away from that is a lot of people, if they're going to spend money on any kind of SEO ads, they really should, like the information one that you mentioned, maybe they shouldn't be spending money there because that's going to have the least amount of conversion in return. Spend money on towards the end of that cycle that you mentioned to get in front of someone.
No. So I would like to correct you a little bit over here, because if you just create content around your commercial and transactional based intent, you're not completing that entire sales cycle, because Google is also using its algorithm of topical authority. So when you're just trying to sell, you're just trying to be a salesman over there and not a good salesman. There's a difference between just a salesman and being a good salesman. A good salesman wouldn't just sell its product to each and every person. If you watched the Wolf of Wall Street movie, you must be knowing about the Jordan Belfort, the person behind whom the entire movie was filmed, and he goes on saying that you don't just sell this pen to everyone. You ask the question to your potential prospect or buyer: would you need this pen? If yes, what kind of pens do you actually use? How this pen could be useful? So to actually stand out from a competition, you have to put up your informational driven search um, content first. That will actually help Google and other search engines analyze that, okay, this person holds authority in this particular niche. It understands that, okay, when a plumber in an HVAC industry or something like that is putting up informational driven content, also on how to fix different faucets and fix their heaters and geysers and stuff like that, and they also have service pages, and they're serving areas in Dallas or Texas, then it forms an entire chain. It's not you just focus on a part of the chain, you have to complete the entire cycle. Only then Google will start ranking your searches, and not just your informational but also your commercial and transactional based searches content.
Okay. Well, what I was referring to, I was saying if someone was going to pay for SEO, let's say Google SEO, if
Mhm.
they were going to maximize their budget, they should be making content for all of the stages. That's not
Correct.
dismissing like, hey, just make content for this stage. No, make content for all of them. But if you're going to
Mhm.
be paying for any kind of Google SEO, the ones towards the latter part of the completion of the stages, that would probably be where the budget would be best spent. Would you say
Correct.
that? Yeah.
Correct. So you
Versus,
have to complete the
yeah.
content cycle, and also there are three pillars, I would say. The three tripod of SEO is the on page, we have off page, and we have technical. If one of them falls apart, it's not gonna balance. So tripod is three of them has to be really strong. So on page is about your content, off page is about your backlinks. That means who is referring your website, which other websites are linking back to you. So that's basically a backlink is in a very simple terms. And you would
Mhm.
want to build backlinks on really niche relevant sites, like some sites which are, if you are in HVAC industry, you would want to get your backlinks on home, I would say home services related websites, on sites which are into similar niche and not into travel and finance and business, because that's not going to help you even in the terms of referral traffic, and also Google analyzing where the backlinks are coming from. So
Mhm.
off page is also really important as much as the content on your website is important. And the last is the technical aspects of it. Like if as a user I saw that, okay, the content piece. This person has created a content on how to fix my leaking tap in just 5 simple steps without getting any expensive hardware, and 10 other websites are linking to the same blog post. So I might just click on that blog post, but if that blog is going to take about 10 to 15 seconds to load just the basic information, I'm not going to wait there. I'm just going to close and maybe even just click on the second or third most ranking article for that particular search term. So the technical is also really important. How fast your content loads, how images are loading, the video, um,
If
how
your site takes too
well.
long to load, someone will click off.
Yes, correct. So the technical aspects of your website is also really important, and not just from the user experience standpoint, but also Google analyzing and keeping that as a priority to rank also. So it's a three tripod pieces. If any one of them falls, it's not going to help you rank.
Sup everyone, hopefully you're enjoying the material that you're watching right now at this moment. Most people in today's world want to make money on their own terms. They also want the standard American dream that we've all been sold. For the most part, that entails getting a house, setting yourself up for retirement, and having a decent investment portfolio. That's cool and all, but have you ever asked the question, why exactly is there support to have all that stuff as an employee, but not as someone who's a freelancer, a business owner, or someone who's self-employed? I've asked that same question too. That's why I've decided to start the Self-Made Business Academy. Unfortunately, when you decide to go into business for yourself, there's not as many resources that I would like to see helping you facilitate that transition. We often have so many questions such as how are we going to get our leads for business? How does marketing work? And what are the tactics and strategies that will work best for my personality type? And finally, while most people would desire to get a house, the process for qualifying for a mortgage for a house or even a higher tier apartment in the middle of downtown is different for someone who is self-employed versus someone who works a job. If you want support through all these endeavors and more, I would encourage you to join the Self-Made Business Academy. By joining the Self-Made Business Academy Pro Group, you'll get access to all current existing courses as well as future ones, access to our PDF library and frameworks, workshop replays, and all playbooks. In addition to this, you'll be able to join our weekly office hours where you'll get to talk to me about some of the issues you may be facing as a self-employed person once per week. You'll also get access to live webinar training events and invites to in-person meetups if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and early access to new products. So if you've left the 9-to-5 or you aspire to leave the 9-to-5 one day and you want to know not only how to survive in this world of being self-employed but also thrive in the process, join the Self-Made Business Academy today. Click the link in the description to get started. Now, let's get back to the broadcast. This is a good question because you've been exposed. Well, not only do you have an AI company, but you've been exposed to plenty of AIs throughout the years. In your opinion, compared to all the other AIs out there, do you feel that ChatGPT is overrated?
No, ChatGPT for a lot of people is underutilized because people don't know how to use it. So it's overrated because they don't know how powerful it is and what it can do for them and the freedom ChatGPT could create for you. So the thing is once it starts creating you freedom and start giving you choices, it's not overrated. When it's overrated because you're underrated. That's the problem. So what's overrated is how many new AI tools that are out there. And one of the worst things you want to do is buy an AI tool and never deploy it. If you buy a tool, commit 30 days to deploy this tool. Become a pro in this tool. Don't race off and get another tool because there's no point having 20 AI subscriptions because you'll be a bit surprised. A $20 ChatGPT subscription could be all you need. Need and want are two conflicting problems with entrepreneurs.
Ooh, you might want. I don't know if that's trademark, but if it is, you might want to trademark that and get paid, make some money. That statement, because it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can. I might be exposing myself, but I can live with the result. But one thing I don't like, for the most part, I'm not the biggest fan of writing emails. Not in terms of outreach is fine, but once like well, really just for content creation, I don't really like writing emails. It's very energy draining for me. I guess that my roots. I'm a salesperson. That's why I prefer to be out there talking to people. So I have to sit down and actually write this email, and like it's tiring. And one day I
Well,
just thought,
that's
you know what?
that's
Oh,
the mistake. You shouldn't be writing the email. You
well,
should literally be uploading
that's
a video
conclusion.
or uploading an audio of you just talking the email and have ChatGPT turn it into 5 different emails I could send.
But that's exactly what I did. One day I said, you know what? I'm going to have ChatGPT do this for me. So I gave one of my friends a call, Nikki Connected. Some of y'all might remember her. She's the voice actress I've had on in season 1. But she has trained ChatGPT to pretty much be a clone of her in every way possible.
Mm-hmm.
So she fed it all the information about her, and then she knows how to use the prompt. So I gave her a call, like, okay, so how do you work your magic with ChatGPT? And she told me. So I gave it all the information on me, and then on whenever I think where people are missing the ball, they don't give enough information to ChatGPT. Number one, and number two, they don't use the prompts well enough. They put something that's very generic, but the more
Well,
specific.
can I explain the prompting
Oh,
solution?
feel free. Yeah, feel free.
Like, I train people in this all the time, and they're like, they get blown away because they're like, okay, what's the secret prompt you use? I talk to ChatGPT like I'm talking to an assistant in the Philippines. I start my chat session with, hey, how you doing? Right? I want to achieve this goal. If I give you some information, would you be able to help me in getting to this goal? Right? I want to achieve this goal of writing 5 follow-up emails that I can use for clients, blah, blah, blah. But I need to teach you first about the products and services on who we're offering. So here's who we're offering it to. This is what we're doing. Hey, I've written 3 books about these products already. Can I upload those books for you to use that knowledge in the email series? Or I've got 3 videos, or I've got a podcast, or I've got whatever. Upload it. And then it uploads it, it transcribes it, it analyzes it. I go, okay, great. Now use that. And then here's the link to the website. Here's our company name. Here's our phone number. Here's our customer support. Now I'm trying to get the attention of, let's say, the manager at an IT company, right? How would I write a cold email to get their interest and attention on this topic, right? And then here's the little secret. It'll spit out an email. I'm like, and I ask it one little question that can transform the results. Do you want to know what that is? Or can you guess what that is?
I'm gonna take a rain check on there. Why don't you tell me?
So if people aren't paying attention, what I just did is an engagement technology and an engagement methodology to actually like create conversation. You're asking people questions, right? So quality questions create a quality life. Just remember that one. So what I asked ChatGPT is, based on what you just wrote, how would you improve it, and what should we do to make this even better? And you know what it'll do? It'll analyze what it's done. It's just like, oh, we missed this, this, and this, and this. I'm like, is that the best email we could probably send? And it'll even write it again in a better way. And all of a sudden, you've now created something that was good. Metagrate, deploy it. That's it. That's the secret. Talk to it like you're talking to a 5-year-old child. And when you do that, you never have to worry about a prompt. There's no secret prompt you need to then get.
So it's a mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. Because remember, ChatGPT is trained on the world, not your world. Your job is to train it on your world. And if you don't know what your world is, well, you're SOL.
Yeah, you got some introspecting that you need to do before you can leverage it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lifesaver for me. Now, have I used it to the extreme degree that you just mentioned? Not quite. So I picked up some golden nuggets that you dropped there. I would say I was probably like 60% of what you said, but the extra 40% you gave, you're giving me some ideas. But yeah, it's definitely changed the game for me, not just in business, but also there are things that I do that are not really about making money. Like I have a vegan meetup group because I'm a vegan myself called the Veggie Outers, and we go to vegan restaurants and review them on a scale of 1 to 10. And that has its own email list. Now that'd be full transparency. That's sponsored by my businesses, and some of them do purchase things from that. But same thing applies. I don't like writing emails for that either. And I've ever since I started using ChatGPT, all I'm really doing is inserting the link to whatever I want them to do, like watch this review or click here to RSVP. I'm just inserting links, and I'm loving it. So I can hear the passion in your voice when you're breaking down just automating things in general. And a lot of this allows people to kind of buy their time back because, like you said, you don't want to end up owning a job instead of working a job. You just own a job. So really focusing on automating will really allow you to get your time back so you can invest it in other things. But audience may be wondering, and I'm wondering the same thing, like why is automating like so personal to you? Because I really feel that you're really passionate about this.
Well, it's time freedom. It's the only way for you to get time freedom. And I don't believe that automating with people anymore is the way to do it. There's reliability issues. There's consistency issues. We're having more natural disasters than ever before. So what happens when those systems go offline? And we saw it with COVID, right? The year of 2020, right? Impacted a lot of people not going into the office. People were sick. People died. Like stuff happened. And many companies folded because they literally had no systems. They weren't equipped to work remote. Now, like this virtual stuff. So the thing is even if you're a one-man band, right? A one-woman band, one-person band, right? You can appear to be 100 times bigger by having a virtual assistant who manages and replies and responds to your emails and can help you do invoicing and stuff like that. That can be one of the best ways to outsource and give you back time freedom. Like, because that means I can go enjoy my life. I can go walk the dog. I can go for a bike ride. I can go have a coffee. I can go have some lunch. Like, that's why you are in this business, right? Like, a lot of people, when they're hustling, get stuck writing proposals. Proposals are one of the worst things that you can do. And if your proposal is taking you longer than 20 minutes, you're not efficient. And no one really cares about your proposal. There's a one page and a few paragraphs they actually care about: the guarantee, the service delivery, and like what's actually included and the price, right? Like it's just those terms, right? And people will spend weeks writing a proposal. Why? Just think of that. Like if you can, instead of writing one proposal a week, what happens if you could write 10 a day? So having a quoting system, standard, and this is connected to standardizing your process. And a lot of people can't automate their business, right? Or their job, their side hustle, because everything they do is unique or custom. Selling custom doesn't allow you to scale. I have this problem all the time. And this is why we're scaling our own supplement company. And this is why, like, I share and literally give my resellers or distributors that we set up, I give them all of the automations, all of the systems. I give them everything and go, hey, here's, just go deploy it. You deploy it, you make money. Right. And this is what's really powerful. And a lot of businesses aren't getting on that bandwagon enough to empower others with automation, because we've got a goal now is we want to help 1 million people a year get healthy. 1 million people a year, like just maybe deal with some rashes or cancers or illnesses they've got, like actually help 1 million people get healthy to improve their life. And then that's allows us to build a really big community around that.
Nice. Yeah, you touched on something. I won't spend too much time on this, but what you mentioned about like custom doesn't allow scale for scale. I think that's why a lot of people are scared, or I won't even use the word scared. I'll say hesitant to do any kind of outbound marketing or outreach, because let's say they're focusing so much on making this customized proposal for a cold client that they've never even met before, and it takes them forever to get one out. And obviously, if you're going to be doing stuff like that, it's going to be a numbers game. So it's more so put as many out there as you can. And
You have to.
yeah.
But that's on the thought. I think there's one thought that's actually leading to that disaster, that hamster wheel.
What is it?
Do you know what it is?
Well, I think you already kind of touched on it, but feel free to let me in.
Like, the thought is they're locked on selling one at a time. Try selling 10 at a time.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how do I sell 10 of these today? How do I sell 10 at a time? That thought process, because then it goes, how do I sell 50 or how do I sell 100 at a time? Because that one thought process changes your whole approach to proposal writing. And if that's all you take away from this weird speaking Australian guy, right? You've taken away one of the most valuable lessons that could 10x your business. And it's easier to 10x a business than it is to 10% it. And this is where what a lot of people don't realize.
Oh yeah, I can personally vouch for that. I'm just going back to the trade or skill I bring to the marketplace is video editing. And I used to focus so much on like the proposal, like you mentioned, customizing it for every single client. And I'm not saying be overly generic, but like you said, there's a few things that people really care about. It's the price, your portfolio, and they just want to know that you've seen some of their work. So if you just include those three things in your email outreach or LinkedIn outreach, whatever, that can be very templated. And if you send, it becomes more of okay, let me make sure I have enough leads. So you focus on getting those leads, send that information out there, and some people are going to get back with you. But if you sent 100 of them versus 10 customized, overly customized emails, that you might get one back. But if you send 100, you might get 5, maybe 10 back. And if you close those clients, hey, look, that's a better result than you just spending forever on like one proposal.
100% agree with you. And this is the thing that people need to be aware of. That's what can help you transition your side hustle from like no one likes being on that hamster wheel or seesaw or whatever it is. They all know that feeling, right? It's just like, okay, got a client, worked really hard to get it, fulfill that client, and it's like you lose all momentum. And sometimes all you need with your marketing and lead generation is momentum in a pipeline, because the proposal that you send today may not close today. It may close in 10 months from now.
Exactly.
Like, so the thing is that's why just that one and that's that living paycheck to paycheck mentality too. It's just like, okay, this is what shifts it. I know this may be, you might be like, this guy's an arrogant dick, but okay, right. But the thing is sometimes you just need to hear a hard truth. And I wish somebody told me this stuff earlier in my career.
Right. Well, I can personally say that that's not my opinion of you. You come off as someone that's very genuine and blunt. And that's much needed when you're going to be an entrepreneur, or if you're going to take your side hustle from side hustle to full-time and leave the 9 to 5, your approach to receiving any kind of feedback or truth has got to change. As an employer, you're kind of afraid of that, because if you make a mistake, or there's a fear that's kind of embedded in us as employees, because that's bad as an employee, but as an entrepreneur, it's part of the process. You need that information to make the adjustments needed, upgrade your system, and get you that much closer to getting the result that you want.
100%. And feedback is your biggest opportunity for improvement. And the problem is a lot of people don't even set up a system to get feedback. And if you don't have a system to get feedback, how on earth do you even know if you're messing up or missing an opportunity for you to add another $10,000, $20,000 a month? It's not. And if people think, oh, you must be doing something bigger or better or no, you'll be amazed at the little things you can do that could add literally another $10,000 a month, which that could be the whole life-changing thing for you right now.
And the final way that you can use these food delivery apps to generate leads for your business is probably my favorite way out of everything we talked about. But you need to have the business cards, and you need to put it on the bag of the people that you're delivering food for. That way they'll be exposed to your business card before they start chowing down. How do you do this? Let's first talk about what you don't do. Don't open the bag and put your business card in there. That's a no-no. Because if you've opened the bag, that's actually against the terms of service of Uber and DoorDash and all these food delivery apps. And that's the quick way for you to get booted off the platform, because you're supposed to deliver a closed bag. You could have technically eaten some fries or done something to the food, and they complain to Uber, and you're going to be gone pretty fast, and rightfully so. So don't open the bag and put your business card inside. What you do is you get your business card. So this is mine, in case y'all want to have a visual representation. And you get a stapler. I would get a small stapler, because that way it's more portable. And you staple it to the bag, and you deliver that. All right? There's nothing wrong with that, because it's still staying on the outside of the bag, and they're going to actually see it. There's always a chance that if you were opening the bag and they get their food and then they just throw the rest of it away, with the napkins and the stuff that they didn't want or don't need, they may not even see your card. There's a chance that could happen. If it's on the outside, they're at least going to see it. Now, I'm not saying that every single person that sees your card is going to look at it and scan the QR code. This stuff tends to give like a relatively low conversion rate, like maybe 3 to 5%. But the point is, you have so much volume in a day that 3 to 5% can actually really start adding up, because you're going to be doing this anyway. Why not have it in a way to where it's going to serve your business needs? This is where you start getting these calls out of the blue that, people that need your service or have questions about your service. You do stuff like this. Back in the day, in order to play the numbers game in this fashion, people would do some kind of mail advertising, knowing that only 3% of people are actually going to go to this website or call this number but the point is, it's in such a massive volume that 3 to 5% is enough to go ahead and work with. I mean, think of how many people stay in one zip code alone, and you have all these, like this catalog of your products or value proposition that you're sending out to people on a weekly or monthly basis. And only like 3 to 5% of them do the call to action that you want. And among those people, maybe 10% of people are closing and, actually buying your service. It doesn't matter, because it's such a huge amount of people. A small conversion is fine. I mean, anytime the colder a lead is, the smaller a conversion is going to be, because they know you less and less. But the point is to do as many as possible in terms of numbers, and you'll be fine. That's the whole concept of this show, is really a way of hitting the numbers in a creative way using the gig economy, because you're going to be coming into contact with a lot of people by default. Why not just have this work for you? Moving on from restaurants, we're going to revisit one I already kind of went into example with for the beginning of the show, if you will, and that's the barber / beauty salon. Everything I said still applies, but one thing I want to expand on is this is going to be hard for some of y'all to do. Trust me, I get it. But you should have more than one barber or beautician. Why should you do that? Well, first of all, there's a practical reason. Your barber or beautician is going to go on vacation at some point, and they might be gone for a few weeks. And who's going to cut your hair or do your hair then? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's happened to all of us at some point. Barber, beautician goes on vacation. It's like, if you're lucky, and if you're lucky, maybe the timing will work out. Like when I used to have locks, when my beautician would go on vacation or something, I managed to, and she gives everyone a heads up, but I managed to be like one of her last customers to get my locks done. And she wouldn't be back for like another 3 weeks. Or my locks would last exactly 3 weeks. So right when it's around the time for them to get done again, hey, guess what? She's back. But sometimes the timing might not work like that. Those slots might be taken, and what do? You end up having someone else cut your hair or do your hair anyway. So why not just go ahead and have that set up? Then it spares you the quote-unquote stress of having to find someone to do it, and let's just be honest. We want someone of quality to be cutting our hair or locking our hair, or whatever. And that usually requires us to do some experimentation, right? Like, oh, I went to this person, but they kind of dropped the ball, or this person was just kind of average, or hey, this person was almost as good as my main beautician or barber. I'll use them as a backup barber or beautician. So I would just have that set up just for the peace of mind, if I'm gonna be honest. But aside from that, everything I said about the barber and beautician applies to all of them, not just the one you're seeing. So if you're going to multiple barbers or beauticians, that means that everything I said is going to be times 2 or times 3. Now, I think maybe 2 is probably the magic number. You could push it and do 3 in terms of having like 3 barbers or beauticians. And you don't have to think of it as you keep alternating between each one. It's more so like you have the main barber that you're loyal to or beautician. And then the other ones you go to every now and then. Sometimes it's needed because your barber might be on vacation. But even not, maybe just once every 2 months, go to the other ones. And I would make sure that they're spread apart. Like, definitely not in the same salon because, come on, it's not expanding your options. But like, I would make sure, like, I'll use some towns in my local area, for example. So if I had in some alternate reality, I lived in Hearst. Well, and my main barber's in Hearst. Well, there's a neighbor city called Euless. I would get another barber there. There's another neighbor city called Arlington. I would have a barber there. And every now and then I would pay the Euless and the Arlington barber a visit, just so they remember who I am, etc. But I would still mainly be going to the barber in Hearst. That's how you handle that. But the thing is, each time you go to a different barber, that's another fresh set of leads that you can tap into just by having a relationship with the barber, but also just the people in the shop. I mean, these are very social environments. Oftentimes, what you do is going to come up anyway, as someone's waiting to get their hair braided or just chilling in the shop talking with everyone. It's probably going to come up anyway. So now you're talking to people in the main barbershop, but every now and then you go to the other one, and every now and then you go to the third one. And these are massive sources of lead generation because different crowds are coming through different shops. You see how you're naturally expanding your horizons? And we're not even talking about going up to strangers like in the produce section in Sprouts, meeting people that like, oh, well, what do I say? Anything like that. You're in a natural, organic, social environment where you can just talk to people and you can steer the conversation to what you do by using the grip formula. But aside from that, just having a relationship with barbers and beauticians who are basically part-time therapists, hearing people's problems. You don't think that some people aren't going to come with them with a problem that you may have the potential to solve? Very untapped source of lead gen, if you're in my opinion. Or it's not talked about much. The people who do it, they see the value. But you don't really see much talk about it on the internet. We're going to change that. I'm probably going to clip this segment and call it the most underrated source of leads on the planet for business owners. But moving on from barbers and beauticians, because I did spend a lot of time on that, I just want y'all to see the value in it. We're going to go to people in the services industry in general. This isn't limited to like any one particular thing. Let's say you have a financial advisor. That's someone that would qualify or count under this, or someone who handles insurance, or you have like a caterer for events or an event planner. Like these are people that have services to offer. I mean, more or less, they're kind of going to fall under the same category as you. You're probably going to be a freelancer or someone who's self-employed or a blue collar worker, except for you take jobs on your own. You're not working for someone. They have the same scenario as you. So if you're patronizing their business, you should at the very least be sharing what you do. Now, the difference between someone who offers a service and the first two is where the first two, it's more of you need to be supporting them on a regular basis. Someone who is offering you a service and you're paying for that, that doesn't apply. they can just service you once, and that's good enough. You should be talking about what you do, etc. Pass out your business card. And if you keep doing the service or getting the service from them, I would actually be more direct in terms of, hey, so yeah, after y'all get done talking, so do you know anyone who actually needs the service of, I'll use myself for an example. Do you happen to know anyone, any clients, or maybe you need the service of video editing or video production? And every now and then when you talk to them, providing you still are using the service, like if it's some kind of reoccurring service, financial advisor is actually a good example. Uh, how recurring it is, it depends on what your financial goals are. It could be quarterly or it could be monthly, but if it's reoccurring, I would be asking them like, hey, do you know anyone who could, benefit my business? And to be honest, if they don't start sending you leads within the next 3 or 4 times that you've interacted with them, I would consider getting someone else to do that service, because this is a streak that can be going both ways, or it really should be going both ways. Now, I'm not saying it has to literally be like tick for tack, but for every, I'll say 4 times you get their service, they should be sending you some leads that facilitates at least one sale for you. So like a 1 out of 4 kind of ratio. And if that's not happening, well, it means that they may not be referring you, or they just may not have any interest in helping you at all. They just want your money. And this doesn't include them doing the service, assuming they're doing the service right. I'm talking about in terms of helping you with your business and getting the word out. That's not someone I want to work with long term. So I would actually be looking to replace them, because this is actually pretty typical. It's very respectable. Someone who is spending money with you and you're a service provider, and they ask this of you, you should be making a small effort to see if you can be business cupid and connect someone with that other person that may benefit from using their service. Yeah. So I would be looking to replace them. And this goes both ways too. Let's say someone comes to you and they've been paying for your service for a while and they need help with their business. I would say you're somewhat obligated to help them out too. So this isn't just a one-way street. Keep in mind, this should be reciprocal if someone happens to come to you with this kind of scenario. But yeah, people in the service industry and you're using their service, they definitely should be running their mouth about you if you're patronizing them. Okay. And if they're not, I would dig deeper to find out why. And they may possibly needs to get replaced. What more can I say? Service providers should be decent sources of lead generation for your business. I suppose some people may be saying, the convo is a little too philosophical. Let's put some concrete examples in there. And that's actually fair. So I think a good place to start would be the scenario where we met at, which was a Bit Summit. That's at an event that a lot of times events are great networking opportunities because they're a conduit to bring people together that usually have a similar outcome that they want to achieve. And to be honest, some of these seminars and some summits are expensive. So if you're there, you have money, clearly, or you have ambition if you scraped up the money to get there in the first place.
Right.
So I would ask you, like, when you see someone like you would like to talk to, like at some event like this, or just any event in general, how do you go about initiating a conversation with them when you're at this event?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I feel like from the outside looking in, it looks like it's just so easy for me to just walk up to people and create a group of people that, are connected. But I too, still to this day, suffer with that kind of, there's an imposter that says, I don't belong in this crowd. I'm at Vid Summit for the first time. I don't know anyone here. These people have millions of followers. These people are doing this. These people are showing up on YouTube. So if I come and talk to them, what's the chance they're going to even talk back to me, right? They're too busy. They're too famous. They're too important for me. So when I came to Vid Summit, the first person I ran into was a friend of mine named Deluxe. Well, he goes, I think his name is DJ, but where I met him, He went by Deluxe because he was in a rap school. So that was like the icebreaker. And then he started introducing me to people, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's just like any other event. I just find out something I want to know about this person, which is usually their name, because we have all this noise around us that our brain blocks out. But to get through to someone's attention, their name is the most important thing. Like if I would have said, hey, you in the vest, would you have heard that, right? Amongst everything else, like it's tuning that out. But I say, hey, Elijah, who knows my name, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I ask is the name. Then I ask them a little bit about what they do. I either compliment like a shirt, shoes, something they're wearing, something I overheard in the conversation before I ever stepped over to them, because I just can't help but hear everything around me, ADHD. And then as I'm learning about them and they start learning about me, and I see someone that looks like they want to get in the conversation, but they're not quite sure, I understand that feeling. And so I'm like, hey, you come here, meet this person. And then I repeat that person's name, tell them a little bit about them, and then ask them that. And once them two have introduced and I've got those names in, and I just keep repeating that until I've got like 3, 4, 5, 6 people around me. And now I know a bunch of people. They know each other. They most likely were probably afraid to talk to each other or anyone else, or feeling that same feeling I was feeling. And I created a little community around me of people that know each other. Now they can travel throughout that thing with a familiar group of people. And then once I see that they have made they've established their thing, I've never been the type to be in groups and stay there. So then I'm like, okay, these people are cool now. Let me go try that again. And I just build little pods. And it's so much fun to do, because it's like you sit back after a while, after you built like 5 or 6 pods and people were really like hitting it off, and you just kind of watch like, dang, I did that.
I really wish I had this clip. If I had a crystal ball and I could see you were going to bring that up, there's the clip of Thanos at Endgame. Which says he's been asked, like, what do you do once you completed this? Well, I sit down and rest on knowing that I created a grateful universe or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember it exactly.
And then what?
I finally rest and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe.
Yeah.
But that clip is so abused in like various YouTube videos to illustrate a point, and it would have fit perfectly here. But that's how you're feeling once you create these pods or crews of people, right?
Yeah. And the bonus, here's the bonus. You go to an event you've never been to before, and you start doing you start with the people that are hosting the event, and then you move to build another pod. And one time when I met my friend Misty, I'm sitting at a table. I got 2 people here, and then everyone that I saw came in for the first time to this space. I was like, hey, you come here. And so it ended up being like 15, 20 people. And I was going around in circles, reciting all the names, introducing to the new person. And everyone was just like, wow. And so when we go into the room for the meetup to start, and I sit down with them, they're like, I thought you were the host. I thought this was your meetup. And I'm like, oh no, I don't even know what we're doing here. I'm about to learn with y'all. And it was just so funny, because once you do that, people just see you in all these pods, and you're the one creating them. And so you become an interesting person. And I don't even do it for that. That's just a bonus. So if you could take anything from that, the TLDR, create connections, genuine connections, be genuinely curious and empathetic about the people you meet, and you may find a lot more in common than you thought you had, whether it's the fears of getting to know people, something you do, a hobby you have, some other people you might go to add each other on LinkedIn or Facebook and see, oh, we got 35 mutual friends. How are we not friends, right?
Right. This is actually kind of giving me flashbacks of how the Veggie Outers got started, to be honest. Most of my audience already knows what the Veggie Outers is, so I'm not going to re-explain what it is. But a lot of meetup groups nowadays, they're spoiled with, Meetup and Facebook, which Facebook reworked their algorithm to accommodate Facebook groups and events.
Yeah.
But back when the Veggie Outers got started, none of that stuff existed. So it got started by literally me going to events and basically being, well, I'm not going to say business Cupid because that's a different that's something different. But I guess I'll just say social Cupid by basically talking to people, kind of selling them on the idea of the plant-based lifestyle. Have they tried vegan food? And I would get these. It would start with like me and another person, and before you know it, I would invite other people to join the conversation. Because when you're the one that's energetic and giving information, there's a certain allure that people can feel that they start hovering around. Like you ain't got to hover around; just join the conversation.
Yeah.
And before you know it, that's how the group originally got started. And it is a skill, but it's a skill that you can develop. I think too many people, they're associated with just a personality trait, like either you have it or you don't.
Right.
Some people do have it naturally, but you can develop it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because I think we just associate, you know, like I'm an introvert, you're an extrovert. I can't do what you do, you can't do what I do. Or I'm drained by people, you're energized by people, right? Or the other way around. I think everything we do is a habit. Like if you do it enough times, no matter what it is, good or bad, you're going to form a habit from it. And so growing up in my family, I was already extroverted by nature. Like I just love to be loud and you know, get attention, all that stuff. But I was beat and reprimanded because, you know, children are to be seen and not heard, only to speak when spoken to, you know, go sit down somewhere with all that noise. So it just kind of makes you go inside, and you feel like or I felt like I was conditioned to be quiet and be in the corner and not people. And so I always felt guilty peopling or being the center of attention. And so it started coming out as like me acting out. But when you get to be an adult, you have to go out there and be in the world. You learn about sales jobs because, you know, you're trying to get your way make your way in the world. Mm-hmm. And you find out what really works for you. But the beautiful part for me, I've become an ambivert. I can be recharged sitting in this room alone with no music, no screens on, and just be okay with myself. But you put me in a crowd of people, I could be energized by that too. So I can recharge either way, but it took some action. Like it took getting out of my comfort zone, which my comfort zone had been introversion, because that's what I was used to. It wasn't what I was energized by, but it was just what I was used to. But I was always angry because I was drained, because I was alone, because I'm naturally charged up by people. But at the same time, if I'm charged too much by people, that actually ends up draining me because I don't have time to process all that's happened with these people. So I think that if you force yourself to do hard things, if you make yourself do what you're uncomfortable with doing, you get new layers to yourself, right? Like there's just something about being able to do what's uncomfortable long enough for a new habit or a new skill to be learned or acquired.
If it's me breaking in, you know, I'm a big fan of, you know, who you know, not what you know. So for me is, you know, getting out there and who has connections and going to the Chamber of Commerce. You know, I can go
highly underrated.
What's that?
Oh, that's highly underrated. Going to the Business Chamber of Commerce.
It's I mean, you're doing business with, you know, potentially with other businesses. So you know, you can go to a plumber and hey, I offer drain cleaning services. A plumber usually doesn't get involved in that. You know, they have thousands of customers that you can potentially service and offer that product. And now you're in front of all these people and they're doing all the work for you, and that giving you that list of people that, you know, maybe a potential customer. So that's one way to leverage your time, not have to have this major email list. I wouldn't say I have a major email list, but I started with 0 when I first started. I went to friends and family and asked for referrals and things like that way before, you know, any podcast or anything was put together. So, you know, when people ask where to start as well, a daily video, 60 seconds or less on LinkedIn or on one of the channels until, you know, you start to get a little bit more comfortable. Your first videos are probably going to stink. If you're editing or not, you're going to be deer in headlights as I was. And, you know, just making mistakes or maybe not looking at the camera or whatever the case may be. So get your reps, get your practice in, but leverage your relationships around you. Who Not How is a book by Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. Great book. And you can really start to leverage some of the contacts you have. If you don't have a lot of contacts, you're starting out, you're young, you're out of school, join a chamber, start networking with other business owners, start networking with your competition. There's plenty to go around, and there's always people sharing ideas. But if you are posting and people are commenting, respond. Like it, respond, appreciate it. What other questions do people have on this topic? The worst thing you do is post stuff and not engage with your audience. And obviously that helps with the algorithm. So just, talk to people. Have goals to talk to 5 new people a day. Grab their information, their email, and ask, hey, not who do you know, but is there one person that may benefit from some of this? Creating an email list to put together a monthly newsletter on time management, time blocking, whatever the case may be. One person's, and you start off with maybe 2 contacts, turns into 4, turns into 8, 16, and it keeps growing. So I think you start there. You're not salesy. You're networking. You're telling people, hey, I'm new to this, and being open and honest. You may think I'm crazy for asking, but I'm trying to grow my business. I just opened up. I think people will definitely help and do anything they can to make you successful.
Right. You brought up you brought up the Chamber of Commerce, and I do want to add something to that. I personally haven't done this before, but I do have friends that have done it, and I've seen them change. I've seen them really get things off the ground. But actually going to your local Toastmasters too. There is a caveat. It needs to be in a big, like whatever the biggest city is in your metroplex, go to that one, because there are small like Toastmaster groups. And that's fine if you just want to learn about public speaking, but we want networking to be in the play too. And if you go to the main one in your metroplex, the big one in the biggest city, that's when it's gonna be a lot more people there. But it plays more of a networking role in addition to learning how to public speak. And there's usually influential people there, and they see you're just getting started. They see that you're sincere, so they'll probably pull some strings, maybe make some connections for you as you grow with your self-development. So that's I think it's a huge missed opportunity that a lot of people starting out don't leverage. So yeah, in addition,
I like that.
Yeah.
And people want to, genuinely people want to help. And if you're in the chamber, just say going back to the chamber, you're in the chamber of your town. Businesses want to, refer to local businesses, and they'll do everything they can. And don't be okay be okay, to initiate. What I mean by initiate is that, maybe you're networking, you're trying to get referrals. Go out and be proactive and just say, you know what, there's so-and-so that can use, maybe it's a financial advisor, and there's so-and-so that could definitely use some help with their finances. I'd like to refer you to so-and-so. You initiate the conversation with a referral of someone that maybe can benefit from their services, and they may not be a good fit. They may not decide to move forward, but it's a genuine way to start that conversation with potential new business. So don't be afraid to say, I know we just met and this is our first conversation, but given the space you're in, there may be a friend of mine or family member that can benefit from your services. That goes a long way. And if you can do that, they may reciprocate and come back and say, you know what, I really appreciate that. It worked, it didn't work out, whatever the case may be, which brought up so-and-so that may be a good fit for your services, and kind of refer back. So don't be afraid to initiate those conversations with the referral. I've done that before, and it's not in every case that I receive a referral, and you're not going in with that intention. But I think it's a great way to lead a conversation, especially being new to the area or new to the chamber or the Toastmasters.
So this next question, a lot of people may be wondering about this, but as far as events go, do you mainly plan free events for your organization, or are some of them paid?
So, to answer your question, these events, I thought, they should be free, because I'm trying to build this following. I'm trying to get people bought into what we're doing. And now I'm in this state of, you know what? Everything that I am doing is valuable, and it costs me money and it costs me time. And that the resources that I have and that I'm going to use for other people, they should not be free. So, as a member For the Girls Social, this is a free resource to members. But even with that, there is going to be a membership fee come in 2025, because that exclusivity and the resources that we do provide are very, very valuable. And a lot of these people who are in these corporate spaces and just in these really professional spaces, they're giving us their time. So we have to be able to compensate in some type of way. And we have to be able to, keep the doors open on the nonprofit. So memberships will in the near future be, they'll cost. And then
There'll be a thing.
yeah, and then even the cocktails and conversations, the first one was free. Just wanted to see what it was like, and now those are ticketed, and we have For the Girls Fridays at Sankofa now, and those are ticketed as well. So just making sure that everything that we do, because we know there is a value add there, we are attaching a value to it. Am I scared? You bet. But do it scared, do it anyways.
Well, I think that's kind of part of entrepreneurship. You're gonna have fears, and I think part of responsibility. And I'm quoting Robert Kiyosaki from his book "Before You Quit Your Job," but part of being an entrepreneur is quite literally for you to face your fears so that it could benefit you and the people you're responsible for. Versus, when you're an employee, fear is a good thing because it kind of keeps you. You want to make sure that you're going to be a perfectionist and deliver value. And if there's too many mistakes, that's when you run the risk of getting written up or fired. When you're an entrepreneur, not only do you need to face your fears, you need to be comfortable with making mistakes so you can learn from them. And that's part of your responsibility as an entrepreneur. So it's actually a very inverted world. Yeah. But with that being the case, let me just chime in real quick, because some people in the audience might be wondering, okay, so Elijah, I'm a plumber, or I'm a graphic designer, I'm a video editor. How does event planning benefit me? I'm going to refer y'all to a podcast I did with Pam Hill she's a real estate investor, and she spoke on exactly what are the benefits, not the benefits, but exactly where would be a great place to find mentorship or to find good deals at. And she told you to stay away from those like salesy type real estate events that these are just some random people hosting something so they can sell you something. And she directly recommended, who will have good meetups where you could probably find some decent deals at? People who are realtors, people who are real estate agents. They're providing this educational experience for their meetup group, or they post events on Meetup or Eventbrite or whatever. And you learn a lot from that event. But guess what? The next time it's time for you to buy a house, who do you think you're going to call? You're going to call them. So that free event ends up being a lead generator for that. They're in the same boat as you. They're a freelancer. So this is where the value of event planning can really come into play. So that's why y'all want to soak up this game, because it can serve as a very passive lead generator. And it's like building tenure. Some people may be interested right away, but you can get a call 6 months from now. Hey, I need your service. And as long as you're easily accessible, do I need to say anymore? But swinging back to the event planning, I asked that question because you said you plan on charging in the future, but in the past, have you ever charged for an event?
So up until I did up until I started doing For the Girls Social, everything was ticketed.
Okay.
And then now, as I moved into this, similar to your thought pattern, or just similar to things that have worked, is sometimes you have to look at events at holistically, will this person be a buyer of what I'm selling, so long as they're exposed to what I do? And so far from what I've seen in my organization, every free event that I've held, I have made a connection with my audience so strong that I have members. Like, I can say that I have members. And they are very faithful to our events. All they had to do was be exposed. And now they're faithful. They come to anything that they can come to, and they try to make everything. So much so that we're now starting to implement like rewards for attendance, because it's just like, you guys are here like you run it. Like, y'all are here on time, bright and early, smiling faces, and you're here at everything. So we just want to be able to say thank you to all of the members who come and who are consistently showing up and bringing other people. Like, that's so great. And like you said, that's part of having the free events. That's part of being in community. And I don't think a lot of people know that there are jobs being created now called community engagement officers. And essentially, those are people that have corporate jobs that are there to engage with people. Because if you're not there in person, if you're not going to the events where your people will be at, nobody wants, they like, it's a job now. Like, you have to be in the community and connecting. So events are very important. So important that there is now a job for people to go to events. And there has always been a job in corporate America for event planners. So just if you were worried about events, be a part of them, create them, and go to them.
That officially concludes this season. Hopefully y'all have gotten a lot of value out of the lead generation season. We're still debating on what season 3 will be, but you can always stay tuned by subscribing to our newsletter. The link will be provided in the description. And if you really want to take your business to the next level, then consider joining the Self-Made Business Academy. Some of y'all know that the conference or summit known as Vid Summit is happening tomorrow. So I'll be at that summit. If you're there, feel free to shoot me a DM or just pay attention to the Vid Summit Crew Facebook group. I'll be hosting various events during and after Vid Summit. So if you want to link up in person, I'd love to meet you. That'd be awesome. Let's chop it up about your business and what we can do to help each other. If anything, it's just nice to talk to more business owners. So I look forward to seeing you there if you'll be attending. And if not, I'll see y'all next season. Peace out.